to join us. Scott, good. I feel like we should clap you on like it's a late night talk show. Good to have you on Sky Racing Active's coverage. Mate, great crowd, first and foremost. So congratulations for attracting people on what's been a testing day weather-wise already. How have the 3 days of the Australian Cup Carnival gone so far in your eyes, on the numbers that you're seeing?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. Great to be here. Yeah, we're pretty competitive. So I think whenever we reflect on our crowds and the performance of some of our meetings, we're always looking for more. So I think the first thing is we were happy with the first 2 weeks. The weather did not play well for us. You were here last week and it was brutally cold on a family night. So, look, despite that, the numbers have been pretty good. Tonight's our club night, which is something that we've sort of been doing over the last couple of years, which I think is a really good way to engage with the community. Most of my team are very, we love our sport, so giving back to sporting clubs is a great way for us to engage with the community. And there's a big crowd here, which at the moment I'm pretty happy with, yeah.
Yeah, and they're enjoying themselves too, which is most important. Tell us, what did you think of week one when we saw Lanfranco and then Tim Zhu? Did you think, gee, we're set for a good few weeks?
Well, it's always, I really like the fact that we're now the only club that's running a genuine 3-week Group 1, which I think is great. So the week one and the way we've reformatted it over the last couple of years just creates 3 really great nights of racing. I think any sort of purist of the sport will look at that and say, yeah, you've got the best of the best competing here throughout that period. So there's been some enormous runs. I mean, the 2 Tim Zhu runs, I mean, Corey Smith's always telling me the dog can't win from anything from outside of 1, 2, 3, 4. And to see him come from 7 and 8 and do what he's done in the last 2 weeks has been incredible.
And that's been a really important part of the carnival so far, Tim Zhu winning the way he has, because, pardon the pun, it's had tongues wagging. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the Meadows, the Australian Cup Carnival, which is great.
And it's a funny thing with that dog last year. I think we had one of the selection races we left out. I know Jason was not too happy.
Was it you?
No, I had him in. I would absolutely had him in. But yeah, he wasn't overly happy with I think all of us at that point. But since that time, he's been huge, and he's got a great group of owners as well that really support the club and all get down here. And that's probably when we see him get up, our minds straight away switch to, well, we're going to have a few more upstairs than we would have otherwise. So, no, it's been really great. And I think the Palawa King and Raiders Guide tonight, for me, is a lot of interest in that too. So it's a huge night of racing, and, yeah, good luck to all.
How important is that in your couple of years, 2-3 years now here at the Meadows, to garner support from interstate competition?
Yeah, I know it's certainly a focus of ours, and I know GRV definitely, it's one of their objectives to get more interstate participation. It has been tough, particularly over probably the 500. We didn't have a lot of interstate participation in the Australian Cup Series, but it seems that over the stayers you generally get them coming. The Valpolichellas, the Palawa Kings, Raiders Guides obviously won a couple of races here in recent times as well. So we'd like to, but there's so many options around the country now that it makes it difficult. And I think the pattern of group racing's fallen away a little bit in recent times, so we are finding it more difficult because there are bigger races, and particularly in Queensland and New South Wales, they definitely got options for their dogs up there not to come down.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tough ask too to come down to Victoria and take on the best on our home deck, to be brutally honest. Like, Raiders Guide and Palawa King have done it, and they've been proven here through the Hume Cup and the other invites that they've got racing over the trip, but it's pretty brave for an interstate raider to go, I'm targeting coming down to the Meadows for these type of races, because it's not easy to win for the locals, let alone have a disadvantage of coming via plane or via car at an unfamiliar track to be competing against the best. And
it's probably, that probably reflects in both of those greyhounds coming down for a one-off 600 race rather than coming down here for the staying race. I mean, Raiders Guide's probably this genuine 600, but Palawa King potentially could have come to multiple races, but yeah, as for the 500-metre dogs, there's probably not a lot around as well, and they probably don't want to come down because it is so difficult. Yeah.
Important to note too, anybody tuning in, doors always open. If you want to bring a greyhound to race at the Meadows, you'll be more than welcome by Scott and the team. Back on Tim Zhu, was reading The Sun this morning, newspapers for anybody who hasn't heard of them. Tim Zhu. There was a great article suggesting that Tim Zhu will be heading down to his local tab today. Doesn't have a bet, but he'll be having something on the greyhound. Do you think Tim Zhu's a chance tonight in the Oz Cup?
Well, if I listen to Corey Smith, no, because he's drawn out wide. Look, it's an unbelievable field. I think from a ratings perspective, in the GRV ratings, it'd have to be one of the sort of the better races that we've seen. I know the Melbourne Cup was an enormous race last year as well. Look, he's in the race, and Jason Thompson knows how to win these races, so he's going to be a big chance. But box 8's hard, isn't it, in any Group 1 race?
To have that sort of publicity, though, through a superstar in Tim Zhu in the fighting arena, but also getting the Herald Sun, I thought was absolutely fantastic. So well done to probably Damien Ratcliffe, who was behind that. I think it's just wonderful work. Now, tell me about this, because this has been happening for a while. I might just put you on the spot here for a second. The 3 Group 1s, not all in the quaddie. This has been happening for a while with the feature races here in Victoria. Can you just explain why, a refresher for those who are tuning in on Sky Racing Active, as to why they're outside of the quaddie? Yeah,
I guess it's a collaboration. It's a decision between us and GRV to put them where they are, and that's purely based around revenue from wagering. GRV's quite attuned at sort of assessing these things, and it's clear when the main race is at race 10, the wagering is more than it would be if it's at race 8. I know a lot of traditionalists don't necessarily like that. When I was sort of in the racing department at GRV many years ago, it was always, the races had to be in the quaddie, the best race had to be at race 8. We've sort of gone away from that now, and it's purely based on the analysis of wagering.
Yep, there you go. There's the answer. I've had a few people ask me constantly throughout the last few years, just because it doesn't quite feel right. But there's the explanation there.
Yeah, it does make for a late night.
We rely on wagering.
Yep.
And that's why.
And look, I think we're always open to mixing things up. We've sort of run that main race at race 10 for a while now. It might be worthwhile maybe us trying something a little bit different in the future, but at the moment that's sort of here to stay. We do that with the Phoenix, and we do that with other races. I guess with the atmosphere on course, it does feel a bit flat when you get to races 11 and 12, but it does keep people here a little bit longer too.
Now, I've been asked to ask you about the bookies on track. Bookies, Punters Club, Tab.
Yes. So obviously the TAB's exited on course in Victoria for greyhounds, and we're trying to do our best with rails bookmakers. We've got a good relationship with Stevie Lynn. Tonight we've sort of got 3 bookmakers. Our patrons appreciate it, but of course there's other patrons who can't get a trifecta on, who we get that feedback.
But also has that old-timey feeling too, which a lot of the older punters do appreciate. Yeah,
absolutely. I think our objective as a club is to make sure people have options to do that. Most of us know how to use an app. Most of us can put bets on our phone. Maybe we all just need to be drag kicking and streaming into the modern world, and that's what's happening, I guess.
Well, Tab app is always available to anybody who wants to jump on and have a bet, and we've got that special Tim Zhu to run top 3 at $5, $10 max. Nate, did you want to ask the boss anything?
No changes.
Doing a great job.
He's doing a fantastic job. The 3-week series is unbelievable. I think it's been shown over the 3 weeks, the quality of racing that we've got from week 1 to week 3. Any slight adjustments that you can feel going forward, or are you happy with the way it's formatted at the moment, or
how long have we got?
Oh, there's obviously ideas, around it.
Every sort of week we look at it and think, how can we have done that better? I was probably disappointed with the quality of the Zoom top in week 1. I'm not sure whether the club has 3 Group 1 700 races, whether it's sensible to have 2 of them in a 3-week span. So there has been some discussion of maybe we look to align the Zoom top, say, with a maturity in July, and then spread those races a bit more throughout the year. But yeah, we're continuing to have discussions about how we can best maximise. I guess one thing is people on course, but also options for trainers.
It's a victim of circumstance stuff. That big Brisbane campaign.
Correct.
You find Late Night News, decided to go home, have 10 days there, not take the Zoom top, route, come and have a look at the track. It's a big campaign up in Brisbane for a lot of dogs. It's a completely different climate up there, so that's most probably why. But no, the 3-week series is certainly heading in the right direction, and the racing's been fantastic.
And I certainly don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater based on this year alone, because the previous couple of years have been exceptional. So we'll assess things post the event, and we'll see if we make changes or not.
Tip from the boss?
Which race?
The Australian Cup.
Well, I have a little bit of an association with, obviously, Canyol Class, with Corey Smith being in the ownership group there. Look, I've liked Excavation as a dog for a long time. I think that he can, when he puts it all together, he can just blow them away. So from box 5 it might be difficult, but maybe excavation.
Scott, we appreciate your time and coming and having a chat to us on Sky Racing Active, and all the best with the rest of the night.
Thanks, guys.
Scott Wuchatsch, CEO of Melbourne Greyhounds, the Meadows. Now, Greyhounds heading to the boxes ahead of our next race, race 4, the second heat of the 600 fifth grade.